People often ask me, Brett, what is it like to be an entrepreneur? And, what are some of the things that you've learned over the years of having your own business, having a digital marketing agency? And I like to talk a lot about resiliency. I tell people that there's a lot of things you can learn about yourself when times are not good. A lot of people think that they will act a certain way. And I've always laughed when I heard Mike Tyson say that, you have a plan until you get punched in the face. I think that's huge because you never really know what you're going to do until you're presented with an opportunity to take action. I believe that you're able to see a person's true, their intentions, you're able to see their character, and it comes out very, very clearly when things are not going well. The last 5 years, I've seen tremendous amounts of loss in terms of, either family members, mentors, financially with businesses. And my message has always been, take what you learn from those situations and learn how to grow from them and not let them kill you. So, for instance, during COVID, we had a couple periods where, we had a tremendous amount of loss take place with our business from a monthly revenue standpoint because at the time businesses were realizing that they couldn't survive if they continued to spend money on their marketing. They were just literally putting their feet in the sand and they were holding on as tight as they could to keep their business afloat. And as a result of that one change, people didn't want to spend as much money on marketing. And then that rolled downhill. They didn't want to spend as much money on digital marketing. So we started seeing this movement where tons and tons of marketing dollars were evaporating. And I had to look at it and figure out a way of pivoting and adapting. And one of the things that I told our customers was, let us take your budgets and we'll literally cut them in half during COVID. So we took all of our clients, cut their budgets in half, and we still kept working with them because we wanted to, we told them Google and other advertising platforms, they're not going to stop just because COVID is here. So we spent time really revamping their strategies so that they could still have more of a drip fed type marketing strategy versus stopping things in its entirety because we told clients, if you quit doing what you need to do from a marketing standpoint, your competitors are not. And if you do stop, when things calm down with COVID, you're gonna see that their business is way far ahead. So we took their strategies, we literally cut them in half, kept them going, and they were able to ride the wave through COVID to stay alive. They still got the experience and they still got the exposure that they needed online by keeping their campaigns going. That still kept us in business. Awesome thing. A lot of friends of mine who are quote unquote much more successful than I am running bigger companies had to go out and put their employees on furlough. They had to cut wages. That was probably the best thing that I was able to do for the people who work with us was make sure that nobody saw a reduction in pay. Everybody continued to have work through that 2-year process. And on my end, I needed to make sacrifices where they needed to be because you'll hear me talk a lot about culture and what our culture is about. And a part of that is being family, being able to take care of our own. So I made it my goal during COVID to take care of every person who was working with us so that we could continue to service customers. Um, our company as a whole was literally born out of crazy circumstances. So a number of years ago, in about 2002, I was in San Antonio. My wife was working as a bank teller, and she did not like to go to work at all, simply because she had been robbed at gunpoint twice. And I hated seeing her go to work and have stomach pains because she didn't want to be where she was at. So I told her I wanted to create an entity from a business standpoint that could help her really grow her skill set and be able to bring in money on her own. So she created a company and she started offering out services related to SEO. This was when I was working literally for another agency. I did my thing on the side. I provided clients services that I needed to do with one of the agencies I was working with, nights and weekends. I was helping her with her company because I wanted to get her out of, not having to go to a job where you feel like you have stomach cramps because you're afraid you're going to get robbed. So that really opened up a door for us to be able to create that agency to be able to provide a variety of services to customers. So I tell people our business has really been born out of a need to survive, to thrive, to adapt, to pivot where need be. Um, and, when I'm looking at other instances of things that we've gone through over the last few years, it's been insane. I was living in San Diego in, fast forward to 2019, 20, 21. I had gone through a bout where I had cancer in my neck. My wife had brought it to my attention that I had a black spot on my neck. Went in and saw a doctor, found out that it was located near one of the lymph nodes in my neck. They had said, hey, if this got into it, you're probably going to be dead here in the next 6 months because your lymphatic system is basically the highway to your body. And so I had to go through a whole bunch of testing, had to put nuclear material inside my neck to see if it did travel through my system. You come to points where you realize that in life, you either need to jump up and get things done and appreciate where you are and the things that you have in your life, or you're not going to have really much value in life. So just going through that experience of thinking that you're potentially could be dead in a 6 month period, to then realizing that you don't have the cancer is you're able to cut it completely out of your neck. You're able to live cancer free beyond that. It was a miracle. For me, the biggest thing that it helped me understand was on a daily basis to be thankful for life and for family and friends. And I heard somebody say here not too long ago that every single day around the world, 125,000 people do not wake up. So if you're having a crappy day and it starts out horrible, you can think of any number of 1,000 things that could make you have a horrible day. The thing I would tell you to think about is at least you're not a part of that 125,000 club. At least you woke up. At least you have air in your lungs. You have life in your body. You have blood going through your veins. I use that as a main source of motivation for any time I have to deal with struggle or strife or things in life that don't seem like they're heading in the direction that they need to be heading. So, resiliency has to be a huge component to who you are and whatever you do. Specifically in business, you have to be willing to adapt and to change. You also have to be willing to learn. I mean, as a business owner, being in this space for 21 years in digital marketing, I've had to learn a tremendous amount. And I have to tell people, you need to continue to learn on a daily basis. And the moment that you stop learning is the moment that you start dying. Every day that you choose not to learn something new is the day that you choose to deteriorate who you are, your business. In the last 10 to 15 years, I've just really made it a major goal to constantly learn. And then you look for opportunities to learn. So during COVID, I had an opportunity to spend a lot more time by myself. So instead of sulking and doing things that a lot of other people were doing in terms of feeling bad, I decided I'm going to go out and educate myself more and see if people are doing things differently than I am. So I found a certification course with Harvard that was related to digital marketing. 8-week course, nothing major. I wanted to see if what I was doing over the last, at that time, had been 19 years, if there's still efficacy in what I learned and what I'm currently doing. So in that 8-week period, I was literally able to go through that coursework at Harvard, figure out what they're doing from a digital marketing standpoint, what I'm doing, pick up any new types of tips, tricks, tactics, or strategies, and then be able to implement that in with what we're currently doing. The awesome thing that I learned is my team is totally on par with what other larger agencies are doing in terms of digital marketing as a whole, in terms of looking at all the different platforms and the plans. But I really wanted to use that time and that study during that Harvard certification to see if we were doing what we needed to be doing. And I realized we are. As soon as I got done with that program, I kept looking for more opportunities to learn. So I found another opportunity with Oxford University. They had a certificate in digital marketing. I went and took that one, another 8-week course. Looked and worked with my professor to look at all the different types of marketing. And we looked at everything from SEO to social media, content creation, artificial intelligence, pay-per-click marketing, display advertising, omni-channel marketing. We went crazy in terms of looking at different platforms. During that 8-week course, I started looking at all the different things that I've been doing for years and started thinking like, can I take all this knowledge and bring it to light for other business owners in a way that they could digest. And the more I let that percolate in my mind, I started thinking, do I need to go and get, either new education? Because I'm always learning. I got my MBA in 2004 in digital marketing and in e-commerce. So I have had a background in the digital space for a number of years, but up until last year, I decided to see if I could find if there are any doctorate programs in relation to digital marketing. I did find a school that was in Switzerland that worked with another university in Poland to develop a curriculum that was related to all the things that I just mentioned: paid search, SEO, social media, display advertising, AI, the whole nine yards. So I spent a year and looking at all those different platforms and decided to create a 120-page dissertation as it relates to utilizing multiple forms of technology and artificial intelligence to drive traffic to a business that was razor sharp. And in a year later, I was able to create that dissertation. I was able to defend that dissertation to the professors at the university. And I was really able to take the last 20 years of things that I've done, take the content that was created from that Harvard certification, take what I learned from that, also take the information from the Oxford certification, pull everything together, and then be able to provide information to people to be able to showcase that you can use all forms of marketing to be able to bring customers in. But the core messaging related to that dissertation was to be able to test, to adapt, to be able to take the winnings from each platform and trim the fat from each platform in terms of wasted spend, and to constantly tweak your strategy. And that has been a huge component of everything that I've done in business. Make constant tweaks from a day-to-day basis, continue to learn. Um, and I've seen a tremendous amount of success in being able to do that simply because I've learned from what other people have done right and wrong. I've always believed that it's very important to have mentors in your life. And somebody asked me earlier today, "Hey, Brett, um, what is one of the biggest things that you think has helped amplify your own career?" And I said, having a mentor. Being humble enough to learn from somebody to be able to teach you the ins and the outs. And maybe might not be in your particular area of expertise. Maybe it's just business as a whole, or maybe it is with management or sales or marketing or finance. But being able to work with somebody who can show you the ins and the outs of what you should and should not do is something that's going to save you a tremendous amount of time and effort. I met one person who I knew for 2 years, and I simply stuck my neck out and said, "Hey, I would really like to meet with you. Can I pay you for your time? Can I pay for your meal? Will you go out and meet with me once a week? I'll take you to dinner. I'll take you to lunch. I simply want to digest your expertise." I also offered to pay that person. What you'll notice is when you reached out to a potential mentor, they're going to be more surprised by the fact that you're willing to pay them for their time, that they're probably not even going to charge you. What they're going to say is, "Hey, let me have you come in and work with me. You can take me to lunch. We can meet once a week. I can pour into you." Those are the kind of relationships you want to get into. If you're looking at mentors simply from like a pay to play standpoint, where you're talking to somebody who has a course or program, unfortunately, those types of people, they could be good mentors. But unfortunately, what you're going to see is they're offering those services to a lot of other people. And typically they come at a high price. So you want to find people who are not offering the courses and things of that nature from a mentoring standpoint, but you want to find somebody who is a fit, who is where you want to be in the next 5 or 10 years. And you just start asking questions. You don't have to ask them to be your mentor out of the gate. You just start asking them questions about how they got to be where they need to be. What are they currently doing? Are there any things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis from a routine standpoint? Are there any courses that they've purchased? Are they reading any specific books? What are they doing with their free time? How are they building themselves, personally, professionally? And then really just dig in and show them that you have the humility to learn from their expertise. Because what I've found is talking to men and women who are 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, they love being able to tell you their stories as to who they are and how they got to where they are. Everybody likes talking about themselves. We're human beings. Being able to have a person tell their story and then you be able to learn from that story and grow from that story is huge. So always be on the lookout for things, for people, that you can learn from, different tidbits that you can pick up from them. different strategies, and then be willing to show them that you have the time. One case in point, you also have to be able to mentor people. So I met a person a number of years ago. I was going on a trip with my wife to Maui in Hawaii and saw this young couple that were at the airport. And then we wound up seeing them again on the plane, first flight in from LA to one of the smaller airports in Hawaii. We wound up seeing them on the second flight. I wound up walking down the streets in Maui, and I kept seeing this couple again and again. And I thought, man, God, are you asking? Why am I seeing this person again and again? So finally, we asked them to come out to dinner with us. We said, hey, we'd love to pay to take you guys out. We found out they were on their 10-year anniversary. Actually their 10-year anniversary they were celebrating, but they hadn't gone anywhere on a honeymoon. It was insane. Um, so we wound up taking them out to dinner and having really good conversations. And on the very end of that vacation, when I was sitting in the airport in Maui, getting ready to go on our first leg, this young gentleman came to me and started telling me about an idea he had. He wanted to impact firefighters and people who had been incarcerated in California. So the two of us sat down, and you hear about those conversations you have where people write things on napkins. We literally had one of those conversations. We wrote down the idea. We wrote down what he wanted to accomplish. And through that one conversation, we came up for an idea for a nonprofit. I thought to myself, I'll help support this young man however I can if he's willing to take action. So in the course of the next coming months, him and I worked together to create a business plan, a marketing plan. We created the ideas for generating grants for his business. You fast forward that initial conversation when we had a very small idea in an airport in Maui to then years later, he stuck with the nonprofit. He turned that nonprofit from generating $0 to now working with a budget of over $5 million a year. And he was able to help people who have been incarcerated in jail or prison in California get into a program that could pay them the same amount of money that it would cost them to be incarcerated in that state on a yearly basis, helping put out fires that are running rampant through California every single year. He's told me that from that opportunity, his nonprofit has literally impacted hundreds of people's lives, and that change that he made in their lives had a massive ripple effect on other people's lives. So you have to be willing to be mentored, and you have to be willing to mentor other people. But at the end of the day, you can see in their eyes whether or not they're going to take action. And I did see this in this young man's eyes. He was going to take action. And I've been able to see him impact hundreds upon hundreds of families. So that's probably one of my biggest pieces of advice. If you're looking to grow in business, make sure you're working with a mentor. Be on the lookout for a mentor. If you're not ready for a mentor is not going to be, they're not going to come pouring into your life if you're not looking for them or asking for them.